Hey guys, it is your girl Andrea Patrick with the CEO Mindset Podcast, and today I am finally going to be addressing something that has been annoying me for this entire year, quite frankly, if I'm being honest. And I thought, if I'm going through it, you must be going through it too. So we're going to work it out together. Listen, I'm Andrea Patrick, the BU Boss, and on this podcast, we are talking about how to constantly evolve and stay open to failing forward. And honey, I need to do some evolving in this area.
Welcome back to the CEO Mindset Podcast. I'm Andrea Patrick, your host, and I'm so happy that you are joining me today. Subscribe if a CEO mindset is something you want to obtain and you want to find the intersection where your work and life coexist. The sky is the limit when you're clear about your value, consistent in the way you share said value, and you're upfront and honest about who you are while sharing it. There are so many examples to follow and learn from. Let's get into today's, shall we?
Now, I have had just about enough, right? So I am going to do something about what I've had enough about very, very soon. And I want to bring you along for the ride. I am declaring today on this podcast, this is my accountability declaration. I need you to hold me accountable because this has been in my head for the longest time. As I am scripting this podcast episode right now, or when I was scripting this podcast episode, actually I had already begun the process of what I'm tired of, which is decluttering. It is a decluttering project. Why is this important? Why should you care? Because, honey, decluttering or clutter has a direct impact on your productivity, a direct impact on your ability to stay focused, a direct impact on your self-worth, all of the things. And it has all been driving me crazy this entire year. And I'm going to put a stop to it. So I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because that is where I am going to be going through this process. I haven't decided if I want to even make it into a challenge. That is quite possible. I don't know. But I'm going to be tackling clutter. I'm going to be tackling self-awareness. And I'm going to be talking about mindfulness and mindset shifts while I do some decluttering of my own in my house to make it reflect more of who I am and how I want my home to look and reflect me. You know, that's what we do around here. We take who we are and we leverage it everywhere. And in this series, I'm going to be leveraging who I am in my household. And I'm going to be getting rid of clutter. So without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Shall we? Join me as I talk about this idea of clutter, what it is, how it affects us, and where we can find relief. Stick around. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay. What is clutter? Well, my definition, I looked this up, right? And, you know, there is definitely a Webster's definition, but my definition is an accumulation of items or thoughts that present as disorganized, being a clutch, or being an excuse that holds you back from achieving your goals. That's what I have defined. That's how I have defined clutter, because you can have clutter in your home of physical items. You know, there are people who are considered hoarders. They just have so many things. But you can also have a mind full of clutter. Like, you have so much going on in your head and you're paralyzed. And you have paralysis by analysis. It'll, stop you in your tracks, keep you stagnant, make you fearful, because you have so many things swarming around. There's so much clutter up there and you can't get it out. That's why I had that definition, because it can be both physical things, but it can also be mental things that are cluttering your mind. And these things are disorganized, disjointed, and they are preventing you or holding you back from achieving your goals. So how does this clutter affect us in other ways besides help keeping us from, achieving our goals? Well, one thing is, if you think about the idea of relationship building, no. Well, for one thing, there is a relationship between clutter and feelings of worthiness. Sometimes you hold on to things, or you struggle to move things out of the way, and you have this idea of how things should be, or someone has poured something into you and causes you to believe something about yourself that isn't true. So it affects your worthiness, your self-worth. If you have that type of clutter, all of us have, I've said this before, we are the sum of our influence, experience, perspective, and passion. And a lot of our being is shaped by those people in our past who influenced us and the experiences we had as a result of those influences. And then subsequently, our perspective on things was informed by those bad influences or people who were telling us things that were not true. And so when we have all of that going on in our heads and we don't learn how to organize it and categorize it appropriately, what happens is we can suffer from deficiency in our self-worth. Another thing that can happen is stress and overwhelm. I know someone who struggles. It's kind of like she cannot capture her thought sometimes. And that sort of presents itself as like a struggle to show up, a struggle to not show up just for other people, but to show up for herself. And she, I find that she disappoints herself a lot, and she struggles and she wants to do better, but she just can't pull herself out of the hole. And that's stressful, and it becomes overwhelming. And again, it takes us to that analysis paralysis situation. And then you have like an inability to focus. Have you ever your mind been so full where you're sitting at your desk and you're trying to get work done, but there's so many things going on in your head that you cannot focus and get the job done? Like, you are just stuck, like staring in space, like not knowing where to start, having absolutely no idea what to do next. It's an inability to focus when we have so much going on. I mean, sometimes I walk in my house after a grocery store run or an errand, and I might walk in and my kitchen countertops have stuff all over them. And that it affects my ability to start cooking dinner or to be able to sit down and relax and enjoy an evening, because it's like, oh my God, I cannot stand it another night. We got to get this stuff cleaned up. I love my husband, but he has this propensity to make piles all over the house, piles on the bed, piles on the floor, piles on the countertops, piles. And there are just times when I walk in and I'm just like, I'm over the piles, right? And I have to do something about it, organize it, find something to put it in, anything. And so that is just like, you just can't focus. You can't seem to get past the clutter. Procrastination, stagnation. You will not do things because, like I said, there's just so much stuff in the way that you're like, I don't want to do it. Like this idea I have, this declutter project I have. It's like, I have wanted to do this for the longest time, but I procrastinate because I'm like, well, that's going to take so much time, and I've got all these other things to do. And I just need to figure out how I'm going to get it done with everything else. And so I just decided to marry the two things that I needed to get done. I'm a content creator and I need to declutter. So why not share that with you guys and bring you along for the ride? So, that's what I decided. That's when I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I cannot any longer. I've got to do something. That's what I decided to do because I couldn't take it any longer. Another thing that affects us, how clutter affects us, is in the struggle to build relationships. When you are so scattered and you cannot get your thoughts together, it makes it difficult for you to communicate, for you to recognize an opportunity when one comes along, for you to do your due diligence and put forth effort and have organized thoughts and create a strategy that, especially in business, can help you attract, engage, and convert your ideal audience. But in personal relationships as well, if you're so misguided and you have such disorganization, what happens when your friend calls and it's like, hey, let's go grab lunch, or, let's go work out together, or let's just spend some time together in some way. And you're so disorganized and you've got so much clutter going around in your head that you can't seem to figure out a time or a place or a way that you can, practice self-care and hang out with your girlfriend or anything like that to build a relationship. So clutter can affect your mind in a way that prevents you from being focused, engaging with other people effectively, being efficient, and minimizing stress and overwhelm. And you don't want that. You don't want that. And so that's why I decided to marry the two things together. And quite honestly, the way the thought came about is I was thinking about this video and talking about clutter. And I was like, but there's so much more to dive into that. And, I have this whole series, my husband and myself a couple of years ago. And it's so funny because it was 2024. It was last year. It was at the beginning of last year. We decided to make some changes to several rooms in my house, and I filmed it all, the transformations and everything, and I never shared it with you. But now it's like, okay, we did the preliminary work, but I never went back to finish the project. So I thought, why not bring you along as I declutter some of the areas that I have in my home to sort of make it more reflective of who I am, and talk to you about several things and how the idea of leveraging who you are to declutter your space, to practice self-care, or to practice mindfulness and experience mindset shifts that will help you to achieve your goals. Why not talk about those things as it relates to, just you being where you need to be mentally to do the things, where you need, how your home and being, having it reflect who you are can affect your ability to be productive, your ability to build your business, scale your business, to lead better. I want to talk about that in the series. So that's what we're going to do, because quite honestly, I have been walking around my house and cringing when I open cabinets or closets. There's been stuff everywhere, and I am so tired of it. That's where the whole theme of clutter came about. And so, I just decided to get a handle of it, and that's where this series came in. And I'm going to call it Styled and Unstuck, Mindful Living for Women Who Want More. That is going to be the title of the series. And I want you to stick around, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I am going to basically make my mess my message. Thank you, Robin Roberts, for that little saying there. I was telling my girlfriend about just how I was tired of walking around my house and how we had done some updates to our home, and I never did share that footage. And I was telling her, I am going to make it a series, and I'm going to share the transformation of the spaces, but they're not done. So as I declutter, like we did, for instance, we updated our bathroom with paint, and we added some of my daughter's artwork to it. Well, and we added some curtains, a shower curtain that I like that's up at the top. But beyond that, the closet in that bathroom and the cabinet under the sink is just a mess. So when we have guests over, it's quite embarrassing. And I decided that I got to get that cleaned out. But it was like, when do I have time? So, because we updated the space and I have that filmed, why not take you through that process, but then sit you down with me as I declutter that bathroom. And then when it came to my closet, I got to change my clothes from one season to the next. And there are some things that I want to do in there to make my closet work a little bit more effectively. And there are a couple of other closets in the house that need to be updated. Well, I need to talk about self-awareness and like really identifying, what I need to do and be my best and how I can show up as my best in the personal style and the reputation, how I want to show up and present myself with my clothes. That's a conversation that we can have as I move my closet and transition my closet from this season to the next. And then also I was thinking about my office. We did a transformation in my office, and just the idea of being mindful and having a mindset shift about how I wanted to show up for my business and my clients is another conversation that I can walk you through as I share with you how we updated the space and some things that I want to do to finish that project out. So it's just going to be a great series. And I really thought that, telling you guys that I was going to do it, honestly, is sort of my accountability thing. So I need y'all to show up in the comments and be like, girl, when does the series start? Or, hey, I'm ready to join. Maybe I'll do a challenge. Let me know if a challenge is something that you would want to do along with me as I go through each space and I talk about these various things. I can create a challenge. So let me know down in the comments if that's something that you would be interested in. While I'm on the subject of letting me know down in the comments, I just want to remind you and just reiterate the importance of you watching the video. If you made it this far, thank you so much. But I need you guys to watch the videos. I need you to subscribe. If you are a subscriber, please hit the notification bell so when a new video comes out, it'll notify you, and then please watch it. Watch it to the end. And even if you can't watch it physically, listen to it. It's a podcast. Even my videos can be absorbed just from listening. You don't have to watch me. But when you leave the video on, through the end, it really does help me with my watch hours. And I really, really would appreciate it if you would stick around, for an extended period of time. Help me out. Try to grow. You know what that's like. You know what it means to scale and build. So help me out. But yeah, back to what I was saying. My series, Styled and Unstuck, Mindful Living for Women Who Want More, is coming soon. So make sure you are subscribed and you hit the notification bell so you don't miss when those videos come up. And if you'd like for me to do a challenge, please let me know. And we'll do a challenge to go along with the series. I can come up with that. No worries. Just let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. As a matter of fact, if you have not subscribed, let me just give you a second. Just all you got to do is just click the subscribe button. It's very simple. It's right over there to the right. Oh, wait. If you're watching it on your TV, you click my little icon with my face on it, and it'll say subscribe. You can just subscribe. Okay. All right. Have you done it? Okay, good. All right. If you're listening to this podcast, then definitely subscribe to the podcast. I will link the subscribe page that is linked to my website because I self-host my podcast. But if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please subscribe and leave a review because that helps those platforms know that it's a good podcast. They can push it out to other people. That is, so appreciated if you would do that. Let's dive into this last thing that I want to talk about. This final point that I want to talk about as it relates to clutter, and that is, where do we find relief? Where do we find relief? Where do we go to figure out how we can declutter our lives, our minds, our homes, our offices, our cars? Just how can we do it? Well, the first thing I want to talk to you about is your baggage. We all have it. We all have it. But to establish your baseline is what this is for. You have to recognize and unpack your bag. And when I'm talking to people, when I do speaking engagements, oftentimes I talk about the idea of, I have a story that I talk about, the hobo bag. All of us carry around baggage. We lug it around like Linus did from the Peanuts, that blanket that he would just carry around. We tote our luggage around like a security blanket. And instead of doing that, I suggest thinking of it as a hobo bag that has to be emptied out and cleaned out. You pull everything out. You understand where things came from, who poured into you, what's real, what's not, what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of. And you then repack a luxury bag, LV, YSL, Christian Dior, Gucci, whatever you prefer. You get rid of that hobo bag and all the crap that did not belong to you, trash it, and repack your luxury handbag with all the things that represent who you are, how you want to show up in the world, and they help you navigate this space, this life a lot better. So your baggage is what is going to help you declutter, and understanding what's in that hobo bag, getting rid of it, repacking it for a luxury bag, right? That baggage is comforting. It's the thing that gives us the excuse we need not to show up, not to be our best selves. It gives us the excuse to play the victim in our own lives. So before you can get rid of the clutter, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge your baggage and establish a baseline. Pack your luxury bag and understand who you are and what you need to do and be your best. Get rid of all the crap that other people gave you that is not serving you or that is actually hindering you because you are believing it and listening to it. Get rid of it. And then repack your luxury handbag, which is going to become the baseline for who it is you want to be, the starting point for how you get there. The next is your bandwidth. This is another place where you're going to find relief once you have understood your baggage. You've done the work and established your baseline. Now you can create your bandwidth. You can understand the limits to which you can go to use this decluttering process for your success. Now, your bandwidth, I have also developed a definition for that, and it is the amount of time or skill, the mental or physical capacity you have to deal with any situation or project. So your bandwidth is about the capacity, physically, mentally, skills, time. What is your capacity? You know what your baseline is. Now, what's your capacity? How far can you go before you can't go any further, before it's no longer serving you? We often experience things like burnout, physical illness, and resentment when we overextend ourselves. And things like people pleasing, comparing yourself to other people, struggling to practice self-care in the right way, not putting yourself first. These things drain you and they contribute to those experiences that overextend you. So once you've established your baseline, you can use the strengths and limitations to create boundaries, and those boundaries can influence your bandwidth. So we talked about personal framework in so many podcast episodes and videos, and I'll just go over it. It's really your strengths, limitations, desires, and non-negotiables. But when you've established your baseline, you can then use your strengths and limitations to then create those boundaries that you need in order to influence your bandwidth. So, and again, another thing that I think is really important here to talk about when it comes to how you or where you find relief, is teaching people how to treat you and then holding them accountable for what they learned. If you don't teach people how to treat you, they will try to overstep boundaries. They will have expectations that they shouldn't. They will not accept your no, and you'll feel the need to put all kinds of symbols behind it, punctuation besides a period behind your no. You'll have question marks galore, or maybe you'll have exclamation points galore, but you don't need any of those. When you teach people how to treat you and hold them accountable for what they learn, your no can have a period behind it, and that could be it. And that'll help out with finding relief from clutter. Understanding, like I said, identifying your baggage and setting a baseline, and then having the bandwidth, or knowing what your bandwidth actually is. Now, you may be listening thinking, oh my goodness, me too. I have got so much clutter, mental clutter, physical clutter. I've got clutter everywhere and I'm sick of it too. Okay. I get it. You want relief. I want relief. We can do this together. But first, in my next episode, I'm sharing my tips to develop a personal operating system. I think that is another step that you can use to really get things going in terms of how you not only acknowledge the clutter and you know how to overcome it, find relief from it. Not only that, but also how do you make sure that it doesn't come back? That is creating a personal operating system. I think it is so important. If you want relief, your personal operating system, much like your cell phone operating system, is the thing that is going to manage the functions of your character, your personality, and your value proposition. So I want you to think about this, though, before you head over there. If you haven't, if you didn't do it when I asked you to, now is the time to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because we are going to start my series very soon, and I don't want you to miss it. And I also want to know if you want to join me. The series is going to be called Styled and Unstuck, Mindful Living for Women Who Want More. Join me. Tell me down below what you're thinking about. How are you stuck? And what do I need to talk about during this series to help you get unstuck? Let me know and I will. All right. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you join me again next week. And if you are watching this on YouTube, every Tuesday, I share my podcast episode on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed and that notification bell is on so that you don't miss those episodes. But I also do videos every Thursday that is even more content that you can consume and help you to really leverage who you are to get the things that you want in your life, career, and or business. So, all right, don't forget to comment below. Let me know your thoughts about clutter. If you're cluttered, let me know if you want me to do a challenge or not during this series, and I definitely will. But until next time, guys, bye.
That does it for today's episode of the CEO Mindset Podcast. Remember, this is the place to be, to find the intersection between your personal life and your business life so that they coexist. It's also where you learn how to consistently evolve and be open to the failures that happen, be open to the opportunities, be open to the opportunity for change. Make sure you are subscribed. Leave your comments below about today's episode. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I want to hear all about them, and I want to hear how you are using what you hear to grow your business, live the life you love, and have that quality of life that we are all looking to achieve. All right, guys, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, AF Patrick. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, Andrea Patrick Official. All the links that you need to continue following and being a part of the Be You Boss Squad community is listed in the show notes, along with any other links that I think might be amazing for this particular podcast. Remember, we are on all the podcast platforms, so if you have not already, find us and subscribe. See you again next week.